Hello and welcome to this week's edition of RetireWell, where we're committed to building better lives. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by the co-founder of Citizen Advisory Group, Kevin Bucher, and financial advisor, Sean O'Drobenek. We're so glad you're joining us today, and if you yourself are planning for your retirement, you've probably noticed that there is no shortage of options out there for you. The reality is today, folks have the opportunity to work with investment advisors at large brokerage firms, independent financial advisors, insurance agents, even robo-advisors, and we know that a lot of you watching have been do-it-yourself investors up to this point in your life. However, how can you be confident that you're getting the comprehensive guidance you need to truly retire well? We're going to unpack that today and so much more. But first, Kevin, Sean, so great to be here with both of you. How are you this week?
Doing great. Great to be back on set with you, and looking forward to today's show.
Yes, I am as well. And Sean, great to have you back. I know it's been a while since you've been on set with us. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts this week.
It's been a little while, but it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to today's show.
Yes, for sure. Well, I appreciate both of the expertise and experience and perspectives that you two bring to the table on behalf of the entire team at Citizen Advisory Group. And I want to kick off today's episode. Congratulations are in order because recently Citizen Advisory Group was named the top investment firm by the Toledo Blades Reader's Choice Awards, right? Do I have that right? That's a mouthful to say, but congratulations, you guys. I know that's got to be so gratifying, especially after being in business for over 20 years.
Yeah, so it is. It's something that means a lot to us. Our industry as a whole, success is often measured by sales numbers. And if you walk around our office, you would see a lot of recognition that we've received over the years from different organizations. But where this just hits so much differently is it's really just a testament to the work we do as financial advisors and the difference that we've been able to make in our clients' lives and what the difference that this show has been able to make. So it does hit differently. It means an awful lot to us, so we really appreciate that recognition. And we're excited to share more about Citizen Advisory Group and what maybe has led us to being recognized in that way today.
Well, I think we have to go back and start a little bit at the beginning of your story, because when you all first started Citizen Advisory Group, you wanted to do things differently because of some of the things that you saw happening in this financial planning landscape. So what was surprising to you when you first embarked on this journey?
Yeah, so when we first embarked on this journey, let me start by saying we weren't the company when we started that we are today, right? So we've evolved and changed over time. And when we first started, we went out and we met with people, and what we really found was a broken financial system. We found that advisors were very involved in selling either their insurance or their investment products, but they really weren't working on solving the problems and the challenges that the everyday retiree was facing. So we found this disjointed or broken system, and slowly over time we evolved Citizen Advisory Group to directly meet those challenges that we found that people were facing every day and the things that were really keeping them up at night. And the financial world as a whole was really not addressing those challenges.
Because I've heard you say the difference was that majority of financial advisors in this financial services industry was focusing on just the investment management piece. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, there's so much more to financial planning and the challenges that retirees face than just the investments. I think people like to focus on the investments, but in almost 20 years of doing this, I can tell you I could probably count the number on my hand how many times people asked me technical questions about their investment portfolio, right? So it wasn't about the price to earnings ratio of this fund versus that, or comparing expense ratios. It was real world applications that were keeping them up at night and that they were worried about. And that's why we put together Citizen Advisory Group and a solution that we offer to clients that's meant to address those real world challenges. That's not just focused on the investments only.
So let's drill down a little bit on those real world challenges, because Sean, I know you're meeting with folks constantly. What are some of the top and the main questions and concerns that you're hearing from folks throughout this area?
Yeah, it's a great question because it really depends on the actual individual too. And what I hear a lot is, how much can I take out of my portfolio? How should I elect my Social Security? How long will this portfolio last? And I think the one that, really sticks with me is especially if they're working with an investment-only advisor, is hey, can I retire? You know, and when I think about that, well, that's kind of our job, right? We need to be able to empower you so you know that when you stop going to work, you got a paycheck coming in. And what I hear time and time again is, you know, they'll say, okay, well, when you're ready to retire, come on in and we'll figure it out. We just think that's a little bit backwards, right? We got to do a little work on the forefront so that you know when you're done working, it's going to work out.
When you also discovered, I think this is something that sets you and the team apart, is that you do so much of this for folks in-house, because typically folks were coming to you and they had multiple professionals that were trying to put some semblance of a financial plan together, right?
Absolutely. And you know, I think about this like the big companies in the corporation, right? So like an Apple. Why do you have you know, an iPhone or Apple TV or an iPad, or they're all integrated, right? But what we find with most clients is that you got someone who's doing your investments, someone who's doing your taxes, someone who's talking about legacy and estate, and then maybe you got an insurance agent, right? So you have a disintegrated financial system. Well, if you're going to get these products at home that, you know, all coordinate and talk together, whether that's Alexa or whomever, well, shouldn't your finances have a similar concept, right? The right hand needs to know what the left hand is doing, and we really got to work on trying to bring that all integrated.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin, I know you've seen firsthand the dangers of when folks have had these disjointed plans, right?
Yeah, I think the easy example that always comes to my mind on that is, you know, if someone was looking to be proactive with their tax planning, specifically around their qualified retirement accounts, which I don't want to just assume that happens in all cases, right? Because usually there's not a proactive approach to the tax planning. But let's say somebody was trying to do the right things around dealing with the tax liability of their qualified retirement accounts, so where you're looking to maybe pay some of the taxes on that now. Well, when you do those Roth conversions, you should be very strategic about what levels. So you might be looking at it through the tax lens, as an example, on what tax bracket will this conversion keep me in, and you'll determine that you'll convert up to that limit without going over. Well, oftentimes we see that, well, when your income changes, it also changes the health insurance premiums that you pay. So pre-65, before you're on Medicare, if you're on an Affordable Care Act plan, your insurance cost is greatly dependent upon your income level. So when you do that conversion, it counts as income. So yeah, it may have made sense on the tax plan, but it may be driving up your health insurance cost. Even if you're on Medicare, same thing. There's different thresholds that when your income hits certain levels, that now you're going to pay an excess premium for your Medicare under what's called the income-related monthly adjustment. So again, you might have been looking at things through one lens and working with your accountant on this Roth conversion strategy, unknowingly triggering a whole bunch of unnecessary costs in other areas. And that highlights what Sean was referring to as this disjointed plan.
Yeah, or lack of plan thereof, you know, and I think it's fascinating. A lot of people throw around this term financial plan, but when you peel it back, they don't actually have a plan. What they have are retirement accounts. But that's not a plan in and of themselves. And so does it still shock you? I know when you started Citizen Advisory Group, it was because you saw the need for these comprehensive holistic financial plans, and yet so many folks didn't have them. Does it still surprise you how many folks today don't have a plan when they come and meet with you for the first time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it surprises me, just because it would actually more surprise me if someone did have a plan at this
because
point,
that's how common it is to not have one, right?
Yes. So, and a plan to us is going to encompass all 5 areas of financial planning, where we're looking at, okay, what is the right investment approach for you and your situation? What is the retirement income strategy going to be for you? How much income can we generate from your resources of Social Security, pensions, and your portfolio? What's the right tax plan so that we're limiting the dollars that are going out the door to the IRS? What's the right insurance strategy? Make sure you have the proper protections in place at the most affordable cost. And then also the estate planning to make sure that it's all tied together and everything is buttoned up. So that's what we're talking about with financial planning. So yeah, it would surprise me more if someone actually had a financial plan than if they did have one.
Right. Well, and to that point, that plan needs to be tweaked, and Sean, because there's different investment strategies depending on where someone is in their financial planning journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kevin kind of spoke to it already. If you're in that, you know, pre-65 age, you're going to pay a little bit more for your health care depending on your income. Well, that's got to be a different strategy for that particular time. And then as we approach 65, right, well, Now we can start to get on Medicare, so we got to come in and have a plan for that, and then transition. Maybe we take our income from different sources, 65 to RMD age, right? So you got to have a plan, but you also have to have flexibility within that plan. And there's multiple areas. There's 5 different areas that we gotta address.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and this is why you guys chose to do things differently at Citizen Advisory Group. You saw the need. You saw the fact that this industry was solely focused predominantly on the investment management piece, but not on these other parts that you have to look at in order to build that comprehensive, holistic financial plan. So I know you're offering the complimentary retirement checkpoint review to our viewers this week. Can you shed a little more light on what our viewers can expect when they call in and connect with you all?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were just describing. There's 5 areas to financial planning, and you are wherever you are within these 5 areas. You may have the disjointed plan that Sean described. You may not have a plan in one of these areas at all. So this checkpoint review is going to be an assessment of where you're at today and how we can maybe improve some things and add value to your overall financial planning situation.
Wonderful. Well, Kevin, Sean, I know we've got a lot more to get to. Thank you for sharing these insights thus far, and thank you for being here. Again, if you would like to get that complimentary retirement checkpoint review, all you need to do is call the number on the bottom of your screen, 866-630-1675. You'll be able to schedule your time to come in. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how the team of RetireWell can help and serve you. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We'll be back to shed more light on how the team of Citizen Advisory Group does things differently and to help you plan for your retirement right after this.
Thank you for using Citizen Advisory Group's retirement tax projection calculator at mytaxbilltest.com. Now that you've seen your potential future tax liability, you might be wondering how those numbers were calculated and what they mean for your retirement plan. It's important to understand that this calculator is a high-level tool designed to highlight the significant role income taxes could play in your retirement without proactive planning. The calculations are limited to the inputs provided and assume both a fixed rate of return on your investments and a fixed tax rate on every dollar distributed from your pre-taxed accounts. Real-world scenarios often involve variable rates and additional complexities that require personalized strategies. As you've seen from your personalized results, the tax implications for your retirement savings can be substantial. Now that you have this initial projection, the next step is to explore potential strategies to reduce your tax burden. Our advisors at Citizen Advisory Group can analyze your complete financial picture and develop customized, tax-efficient withdrawal strategies that the calculator alone can't provide. Schedule your personal tax review meeting today by calling the number below.
Well, welcome back to RetireWell. I'm Kristen Oakley here with both Kevin and Sean from Citizen Advisory Group, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, we did share at the top of the show that recently Citizen Advisory Group was recognized as the top investment firm by the Toledo Blades Reader Choice Awards. And again, we're all so proud of you guys, and this is so well-deserved and well-received. And really, it's a testament to how you've been helping and serving this area for so many years. But one of the things that we were talking about today is it can be hard for folks to know who to go to with their financial planning, who to trust, what really goes into building that comprehensive, holistic plan. And so we want to spend some time now really sharing how you all do things differently for folks. So how did you, first of all, structure your company and your firm differently to meet the needs that you saw?
Yeah, well, and it's a great question because I know that on the show, I've been on the show quite frequently, and just to make it clear, I am not an expert across all of these areas. Mm-hmm. I feel like I can have a very general, good conversation around these areas, but we recognize that we need to bring in a team of experts that are going to kind of help us navigate these areas. So when we work with a client, it is very much a team approach. Mm-hmm. So there's the financial advisor who's working with insurance professionals and tax professionals and the estate planning side of it to put together the plan. But the big difference is, and I know we'll get to this in more detail, but the big difference is that we're communicating with each other. There's cohesiveness between what we're doing to eliminate the gaps in these planning areas.
Yes, and this is why you chose to bring all the key planning areas in-house under one roof to be able to serve folks through that team approach. You've mentioned these 5 areas, but Sean, I'd love for you to drill down and just share it with our viewers. I know a lot of you watching may be new to us and to this show, but talk about those 5 key areas and what goes into each one.
Yeah, so let's just talk about them. There's investments, there's going to be some income planning, you're going to have some tax planning, there's going to be some risk mitigation, so what insurances do we need to have in place, and then ultimately your legacy and estate. And how we approach this plan, we have a process in place to address each one of these areas, but it really depends on what's kind of most important to you at the given time, right? Because I'll give you just a kind of normally what happens, right? You come in and we do an analysis around income. So we're going to start with how do we recreate that guaranteed lifetime source of income. And once we have that, we can kind of get a pretty good idea of what's going on in your tax situation. When I got those two kind of rounded out and I understand what they're going to do, well then that tells me how we should invest the money. And that's really the biggest difference from our firm and from our perspective is that most advisors, most investment-only advisors, they take the money and they invest it and then they figure out what the plan is, right? And I just think that's kind of backwards. Because once we have those 3 in place, well now we can start to address the others where, hey, what life insurance do we have? Do we need life insurance? How are we going to address long-term care? And then ultimately, we got to talk about the legacy of this money and what does legacy mean? Does legacy mean this is what I'm going to pass on to the next generation, or can we live a legacy, right, while we're still here and we get to have that time with our loved ones?
Yeah, and talk a little bit about your integrated approach, because I know this goes, of course, across team members, but you all use a lot of systems, processes, software. Talk a little bit about that helps you engage in that integrative, holistic approach.
Yeah, I mean, these areas are all individually complex. So when you're trying to put together a coordinated plan, you're just adding some complexity around, you're stacking complexity on top of complexity. So there does have to be some centralized tools that bring all of that together. So we do use some planning software to help with that, but a lot of it, so much of it is just the day-to-day communication amongst the professionals to make sure that this is all coordinated. So when I think about how our industry and how the media or the common way that we're evaluated out there, so much of it is geared around like the investment returns. And I don't want to minimize the importance of investment returns because getting an appropriate rate of return is important, right? So you got to make sure you're invested properly to get those returns that you need over time. But really, what we want to be evaluated on is the outcome of the plan. So are we still on track to efficiently meet the goals and objectives that the client set out for us at the onset of the relationship? Do we need to make adjustments so ultimately I think what people are looking for is they want to maintain their standard of living in a way that they can count on so that they can go out and live and enjoy life. So that is how we measure the success of our plans, more so than the annualized rate of return.
Yes.
That's just one component of the financial plan.
But there's so much more that goes into it. And obviously this provides such a benefit, the fact that you all are able to coordinate all these different pieces of someone's financial life and putting these plans together. Any recent stories come to mind? Because like I know, Sean, you are meeting with folks constantly. So any examples of how this coordination plays out?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of buzz right now around like Roth conversions, right? And should you Roth convert? Why? You got to have a plan in place first in order to determine whether Roth converting makes the right sense to you. And I've had clients come in that have read and they're maybe they're self-doers that, hey, Roth conversion makes sense, and then they go ahead and convert most of their portfolio because that's what they read, and then all of a sudden they just created themselves a big tax problem that maybe they didn't quite understand. So if we focused on Roth conversion, well, we got to figure out where the income is coming from, right? Because not all income sources are created equal. So where the income comes from is going to determine what our ordinary income is. Then we can look at it from a tax lens to say, okay, should I convert X to fill up the same tax bracket, right? We should probably do that if minimizing your taxes is important to you. But you can't just look at it there. You also got to look at your investments. how much of this money that is mine is in a pre-tax position that I still owe to the IRS at some point in the future. So when you start to ask one question, that leads to another question, which leads to another question. And most of the time, if you're not looking at it holistically, you don't do anything because it's not clear.
Right.
And if you don't have clarity, you can't make a decision. So what ultimately ends up happening?
You do nothing. Right. Yep. Or you procrastinate, put it off, and then it's too late to affect change, right?
You got it. You got it. You got to have a plan there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned being experts in so many other areas of these key components of financial planning. I know we need to wrap up this segment, but do you mind highlighting some of those key areas of expertise that the team of Citizen Advisory Group can provide?
So we'll try to keep this brief, right? So obviously we have a team of investment experts who are putting together a portfolio of investments, right? So, and again, that's super important, right? So we have to make sure we have the right allocation. We're allocated to the right type of investment. So we have a team of CFAs and CFPs that help design these portfolios, but we also have to have some Social Security expertise. So we have to understand the Social Security rules, how to navigate between retirement and spousal benefits and survivor benefits. So Social Security is one of those areas of expertise. Taxes is one of those areas of expertise. So we have tax preparers, and then we have people that do more tax planning. Then we have the insurance folks that are helping to make sure we're in the right insurance programs based on our situation and circumstances. So there's health insurance, there's life insurance, there's health home and auto insurance, all of those things. And then the estate planning expertise to making sure that you've got your end of life documents in good order and that your beneficiary designations are set up. So that is the team of experts that are working together to make sure that we have a coordinated plan to get the outcome that our clients are looking for.
And I know when I've gotten to visit your office, it's just awesome to see folks come in, they're greeted warmly by different team members. You have different areas of expertise, literally kind of around the building, right? So folks can meet with everyone that they need to and see how this comprehensive, holistic approach would work for your retirement planning. Here's the reality. If you're already working with another financial advisor and they are not having these kinds of conversations with you, you owe it to yourself to get a second opinion. And you can't get a second opinion from the same person who gave you the first. So the team of Citizen Advisory Group would love to be able to provide that for you, again, for no cost to you, in the form of a complimentary retirement checkpoint review. 866-630-1675 is the number to call to schedule yours. Or again, you can also click that QR code and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
My favorite clients to work with are people that are really just down to earth and fit well into our family brand. So they're very nice people, they're very hardworking people, they're people that put a lot of value on family and friendships and socialization. There are a lot of firms, I feel like you're a number on a page, but I can tell you at our firm what truly makes us special, and this is a shout out to our founders and the principals of our business, Jeff and Kevin Bucher, is that they have built their business on taking care of people and really building solid family relationships, and that's kind of helped us with the success that we have. We have structured our team at Citizen Advisory Group so that the main thing that's paramount and important to us is taking care of clients. We have a full team of people that's ready to serve and take care of our clients because that's really what we built our practice on. It's great to be able to go and talk to my team members and have a meeting with 5 or 6 other advisors to say, hey, this is the situation, what are we going to do about it?
Welcome back to RetireWell, where today we've been focusing on all that goes into building a comprehensive, holistic plan for your retirement. So much goes into this, and really the real-world examples are the best way to understand the difference between having this kind of comprehensive plan and not. And I know we were talking during the break, Kevin, you have another example of how you've seen your integrated approach really work and serve people's to help them not be up at night stressing about the things that keep folks up at night when it comes to retirement planning,
yeah,
right?
I think we really just want to try to turn over every stone that matters, right? So we do ask our clients to provide their insurance coverage information, even on their home and auto. So we want to review that coverage so we understand what your deductible limits are, what your liabilities exist there. And sometimes that leads to that maybe we want to then compare your pricing, and we send that off to our team to compare pricing. So when that happens, not only did we already do an overview of their insurance coverage, but now I'm getting our home and auto division up to speed on this client situation. This is their financial situation. These are the assets that they have in place that we're trying to protect. So now they go in armed with information that they can give a proper insurance recommendation. And then when that's done, now I'm following back up with them to say, okay, what happened in this meeting? Where are we at? So that this is all tied together. So that's how this looks, what this looks like in a real world application and how the communication works amongst the team.
And I know that one of the things you all are passionate about helping folks understand is that a successful retirement involves more than just money. In fact, you call it your 3-pillar approach. Can you share what those 3 pillars are with our viewers?
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly what Kevin was saying. Like, why do we want to review the home and auto insurance? Well, because we want to make sure that we have the proper insurance at the right cost, right? Because that's really gonna give you that financial stability that you need. And in retirement, there are 3 pillars. You need to have financial stability. You got to have health and wellness, and then we got to create some social connection. So we're going to do the money very well. We're going to leave no stone unturned. We're going to look at all of those different areas. And kind of once we've built that foundation, that's going to reduce your stress. That's going to empower you to go live, right? So you can enjoy the second pillar of health and wellness, right? If you don't have your health and you're not staying, that's a huge risk factor for your mental health, right? So you got to create your health. We got to create some opportunities to where we can really thrive in that space. And then you got to have social connection, right? If you don't have the social connection in retirement, you're just going to be not living that best retirement. So you got to have financial stability. We got to have your health and wellness, and you got to create some social connection. And we take pride in that, and we try to recreate some of those other areas that we define as how do we live a better life.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times people question, well, what does that even mean? How do you do that as a financial firm?
Right.
Well, it comes down to we invest real resources into our RetireWell program so that we are trying to promote and provide opportunities for people to participate in both social activities and health and wellness activities. So that's how a financial firm can make a difference in those areas, because we invest real resources into that program.
You do, for sure. I know how passionate you are about this, and really this sums up your motto, which is building better lives. So gosh, guys, thanks for this discussion today. I know so much to talk about, but I'm excited for more folks to connect with you as a result of today's show. So Kevin, Sean, thank you. To our viewers at home, if this is resonating with you, if you would like to have the team of Citizen Advisory Group provide you with that complimentary retirement checkpoint review, simply dial the number on the bottom of your screen, 866-630-1675. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on RetireWell.